The trade war between the US and China is escalating. President Donald Trump has told officials in his team to consider another $100 billion of tariffs against China.
Well, I think people first need to understand that governments should just stay out of the way of trade whatsoever. All governments do is slow down trade, make it more expensive, and cause problems. There really should be free trade across the world amongst people. People in China should just be able to trade freely with people in the U.S., and people in the U.S. should be able to trade freely with people in China or anywhere else.
The row started after President Trump imposed import taxes of 25% on steel and 10% on aluminium. The tariffs hit several countries, including China. Beijing responded by introducing its own retaliatory tariffs on 128 U.S. products, including beef, cars, and soybeans. The U.S. then announced $50 billion of tariff on Chinese goods, particularly electronics, aircraft parts, and medicine. And now Trump is considering another round of hefty tariffs on China.
By raising actual tariffs against China, that actually only just increases the price of things for Americans. So it's very funny to see a lot of Americans cheering on that things are going to be more expensive now thanks to Donald Trump, and the government's going to take a lot of that money and just waste a lot of that money.
China is now bracing itself for every eventuality. Beijing now says it's ready to pay any cost in the escalating trade war. If the US side disregards opposition from China and the international community and insists on carrying out unilateralism and trade protectionism, the Chinese side will take them on until the end at any cost.
It is logical, actually, that there should be a reaction on the first action of the US. On these measures imposed actually by the US government. So it was only logical that there should be a reaction from the Chinese side.
The statement also says that Beijing is not afraid of a trade war now that Washington is provoking a commercial conflict.
What the United States has done has gravely violated the basic principles and spirit of the World Trade Organization. China will immediately put the U.S. move to dispute settlement mechanism of the WTO. At the same time, China will take reciprocal measures with the same magnitude and the same scope against the U.S. products.
The US president has lashed out at what he's called China's illicit trade practices, which he says have been ignored by Washington for years. He blames China for the destruction of millions of American jobs. The comment shows that US domestic policy also plays a role in the ongoing trade war with China.
Everything is politically driven. Now, he has a constituency in the United States that has been following him very closely and apparently with a lot of loyalty. But unfortunately, when you look at the products, for instance, that are going to be affected by this whole situation, some of those products are produced in states that he wants.
The rising trade row has pushed China to put an end to US dominance over the global oil trade. China is the world's biggest oil importer. It buys around 9 million barrels of oil every day.
The U.S. dollar is on its last legs, and all these sort of trade wars do nothing but to damage the dollar more.
It has now decided to use its own currency, the yuan, for its oil purchases.
First of all, trade wars are always bad for those involved in the trade war and for the international economy as a whole. We need to have international cooperation.
The decision signals China's intention for a bigger role for its currency in global oil trade. Many believe it would take time for petro-yuan to challenge the dollar, but the decision signals a shift in Beijing's trade policies.